According to some reports and rumors, NASCAR might be looking to expand the schedule. This is something that I think many of us were not expecting to hear. If you look at the history of the last, I'd say 5 years of NASCAR racing, we've seen NASCAR, while keeping the same amount of races, shorten the schedule down. Remember, we used to end the week before Thanksgiving, and now we're ending the first week in November and possibly even into October if the calendar aligns the perfect way. So this is something I think that took all of us by surprise when we saw it come up on all of our feeds over the last couple days. And it comes from a podcast where Lee Spencer, who is a very, very reliable source, has said that she's been hearing rumors and a lot of rumbling in the industry about this 40-week schedule, or 40-race schedule with 2 exhibitions, I should say. Now, like she said, there could be 42 races with 40 points races and possibly 2 of the special events, though she didn't say exactly, so maybe it could be even 42 points races if the messaging got lost in translation a little bit. And this would be for the new TV deal in 2025. Steve Phelps has talked about the 2024 schedule being the most aggressive schedule for variation. And I think that in a way, this would be the testing grounds for what NASCAR can do if they make this longer schedule. This is something that is generally unprecedented for modern day NASCAR. NASCAR has not expanded the schedule since the 90s boom into the 2000s and has been pretty steady at 36 races a year, with 26 of the regular season races since 2004 and 10 playoff races. So changing something up like this would be enormous in changing up how NASCAR divvies up the championship, the money, everything like that. Now, I want to say, before we go into whether this is a good or bad idea, I think we need to keep a lookout for this. Part of what was mentioned is that this could be a way to get the RTA more money, and this could be NASCAR putting this forward basically to kind of make the RTA look like the bad guys. While some fans are going to say, hey, more racing, that's awesome, a lot of fans do understand supply and demand and realize that in the long term, this could be a very bad move for NASCAR. And those in the industry would probably be very pissed at those in the RTA for negotiating something that puts even more stress on them and possibly gets even more time of theirs taken away from their personal lives and family, as we only see the drivers on TV every week going to races, but those in the shop are there every single week doing work, getting stuff ready, everything like that. And this would maybe be the straw that broke a lot of camels' backs. Is this a good idea or not? Just taking all of this other stuff out and just looking straight at this idea. Well, I'm going to be honest. I'm going to say no. I don't think this is a good idea for a lot of reasons. Starting off with a huge one, fatigue. Listen, NASCAR season is the longest in professional sports, and fatigue is something that is very, very real. I can say just from offhand comments I've heard from friends of mine who are former NASCAR fans, the schedule length is actually what took them out from watching so much. They just couldn't do it over time, and they liked the sport. They weren't diehards, but they liked it. But after 24, 25, 26 races, with the schedule seeming to have no end, they dropped off. Potential fans are being lost because of this. And you can still have the same amount of races if you just compact the schedule up a bit. That's what Chase Elliott brought up, and I think that was a very, very good idea. But with no doubleheaders and midweek races, this would mean that NASCAR's off-season, depending on how the calendar goes, would only be an 8 to 9 week off-season. That is insane and leaves very little time for any needed changes between seasons. We see what the next gen looks like right now with safety. Now imagine NASCAR only has 8 to 9 weeks to actually save that and test all of this stuff in the off season, on top of letting guys go for Christmas, New Year's, whatever holidays that they can go off of, on top of sponsorship obligations and those in the shop having to get cars ready for the next year. You could have a repeat of 2021 into 2022 with part shortages every single year, and long term it would affect the product terribly. Midweek races and doubleheaders, though, which could be run, are historically bad in ratings. I mean, absolutely awful in ratings compared to any other races that have been run normally. So that wouldn't be a viable option if a race that could on a normal Sunday afternoon or even Saturday night get 2 to 3 million only get 1 to 1.5 million. Really, NASCAR loses there and the network loses there. And teams and drivers, like I said, are already on the fritz when it comes to the fatigue that they get throughout the season, going from the start of February on the road all the way until the start of November. And adding weeks to the schedule and going from the start of February to the end of November, and again, if the calendar drops the right way, start of December, is only going to piss them off more and make this tension between NASCAR and the rest of the industry that works underneath them and for the teams worse. Now, fatigue is not the only thing that is a really big factor in why this is a bad idea. Another big one, schedule oversaturation. The fan fatigue, like I talked about, has already hurt NASCAR, and well, this would hurt it even more, as a lot of fans who start getting burnt out by the end of the year at just the right time would be burnt out with 5 to 8 races to go. And having diehards start to drop off is not the way NASCAR needs to go for the long term and getting viewership. And honestly, it's not the way to go to get younger viewers as well, as a longer schedule gives people more of an option to find better opportunities for their entertainment if they're not as crazy about a few races in there. Going to the same track more than once is also pretty redundant with the schedule and is something NASCAR's tried to stray away from, and course correcting or maybe making incorrect would not be the best course of action either. A possible 30-race regular season that doesn't end until week 4 of the football season will hurt NASCAR because of ratings. People will tune out before the playoffs even start, and the more races into the NASCAR season that you go, the worse viewership goes. It's historically been that way, and this will only be exaggerated even more as the season gets longer. Making it easier to get new tracks and races will also probably make the value of the races themselves go down. Look at F1, for instance, and IndyCar. Their schedules are relatively short, and it takes a lot to get a track on their schedule. Whereas in NASCAR, if you have 40 races, just points alone, it's going to make it pretty easy for a lot of tracks that want in to get in, and it's not really going to make the competition to get better that much better either. It's just going to make tracks pretty complacent as they know they have a guaranteed spot on the schedule even more now than they ever did. Now, like I said, it could be NASCAR bluffing, it could be a lot of things. It could just be a rumor that won't happen. But I gotta say, this isn't fans complaining about a good thing being used too much for no reason. This is many understanding the simple economics of supply and demand. And right now, the demand widespread and long-term for 40 races is not rationally there for NASCAR to do this. Now with that, I'm gonna pass it on to you. What do you think about the fact that NASCAR could have a 40-race season without even including the special races like All-Star and Clash? Let me know down in the comments below. And while you're at it, leave a like on this video, share this video, and subscribe to my channel for more great NASCAR content. Thank you so much to my channel members for your continued support, and until next time, have a good one.